Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bald Fox, and today we are going to continue a very special topic of relationships. In studio today again with me is Anthony Garibay.
Hello, hello.
So, in one of our previous episodes, we were going on about talking about relationships and a lot of the dynamics and things in there. I wanted to kind of continue this topic because I think it's relevant. It's important. You know, every single day is a new day.
Yeah.
And it's a new day filled with emotions, experiences, both good and bad, because yesterday quite literally was the past.
Right.
And each day that we move forward, we now grow both positive and negative depending on the circumstances, right?
Sure, yeah.
And I think a lot of people forget that we don't always wake up chippery in a good mood.
Yeah.
That's why they said, oh, did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed? And it's interesting because when you really think about it, think about something that happened to you yesterday. Was it positive? Was it negative?
Yeah.
Did you get something that you're conflicted about? Things can literally drain the energy out of you emotionally.
Oh, that's so true.
Without you even lifting a finger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody, let me take that back. A lot of people contribute tiredness and energy fatigue only to physical activities.
Sure, yeah.
It's important for people to know that mental anxiety, mental abuse, mental stress, all of these have just as much of a significant deterioration to your body and mind.
Man, big time.
It's incredible because you don't realize that you can go out and work construction and swing a hammer and do all that, which are all commendable jobs.
Sure.
These are hardworking people that are out there making a wage and a living for them and their families, and they're breaking their back to do it. There are also people that carry the same stress. Let's think about this for a second. We can compare people, let's just say, two completely different spectrums. A doctor.
Yeah.
Or a bartender.
Sure.
Now, somebody is going to automatically say, well, God, the doctor's job is, it's just up here. Okay. And in a lot of regards, that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
Okay. They went to an immense amount of, college and schooling. They are learning a specific trait to learn medicine and how to heal us and fix us. And if you get a surgeon that is on the table operating on you, you want somebody that is proficient. Now, is that job stressful?
Oh, yeah. It's got to be. High pressure.
I mean, you literally have somebody's life in your hands.
Yeah, that's high pressure right there.
Okay. So now you walk into a bar. You see the bartender.
Yeah.
There's 30 people at the bar. That bartender, does she have a lot of stress?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would. 30 people drunk, barking, all kinds of stuff.
Well, think about it. A lot of times that person, she has him or her, they have their own stress, right?
Yeah.
They're working, trying to be a bartender, either by trait because they enjoy it or out of necessity.
Sure.
But in the meantime, not only are they having to make sure that they're servicing you with your drinks and all that, but now they've got 30 personalities that each one of them have different things going on in their lives.
Yeah. Yep.
They now sometimes become a therapist. They're seeing people that are dealing with depression, anger. They see breakups, people that have lost a loved one.
Yeah.
All of these different things that all drive people to drink.
Sure, yeah.
Going back to, let's say, a construction worker or an attorney.
Yeah.
Now, one's using their physical body and one is using their mind.
Right. Well, I mean, I know construction workers, they probably know all kinds of math and angles and
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I'm not discounting, they know law. Let's put it that way. They did a lot of education in reading, understanding law and interpretation and writing motions and all of these things that have to go into that.
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm trying to get at is don't discount somebody's job.
Yeah.
Specifically because it's not what you deem to be hard or physical.
Right. Sure, yeah.
A person that's writing a motion or going through different things in law, and I'm actively studying law, and so I use this as a live example from experience, right? Yeah. In my past, years ago when I was, I had to have been about 20, somewhere around there. One of my friends was he did the earthquake straps for mobile homes.
Okay.
So I used to go do that with him. We'd do, sometimes 2, 3, 4 in a day.
Wow.
And, that was intense labor. You're literally getting under a mobile home and crawling in a crawl space that big where you can barely fit in there and, having to strap these things on and do all these things to get it done, right? So I did that. I understand what it feels like.
Yeah.
Equally, I have studied law and written, many, many motions. I've written hundreds of motions in my life at this point.
Wow.
And I understand the process that it's so technical and, there's so many different components to it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That when you go through the process, you can write a motion and by the time you're done, you can be depleted of energy.
Wow. All the research and hours and time and staring at a probably computer screen.
100%.
Wow.
And here's the issue with this. At the end of the day, you don't even know. You wait for the hearing and you may win the motion and you're like, all right, it's a good day.
Yeah.
But what if you don't?
Oh, man.
Now, I take that and I put it in context to the fact that people have things that happen in their lives. They're going through some medical stuff.
Yeah.
They get a negative test result. How does that emotionally affect you?
Draining.
It's draining. It becomes stressful. It becomes, you have all kinds of emotions of feeling like a failure or feeling the stress of what's going to happen next or disappointment. And all of these things are internal stresses and emotions that have a significant drainage on your body.
Right.
So how does that affect a relationship? When you think about a relationship, one of the biggest things that people always say is communication, right? We've talked about this, and and it'll come up over and over and over because, in spite popular demand, communication is important.
Right, it's a big factor, definitely.
If you are not communicating with your partner, you are doing a disservice to yourself and them. It affects everybody around you because what happens is, when you hold something inside and you're not finding a way to process it healthy, you then are lashing out in that emotion to all the people around you.
Sure.
So let's take that for a second. We talk about emotions and communicating and who is healthy in your life that you communicate to. Okay. The reason why I bring that point up is you start to realize what do you consider a true friend? So if I were to ask you, Anthony, what do you consider a true friend? What does that mean to you?
One that stands the test of time with you through thick and thin, seen you at your worst, seen you at your best, and just accepts you for who you are, and is just there for you, really,
Okay. And all of that is true. Now, let me take it a little bit further.
Yeah.
Do you want a friend that you have an issue or you're asking a question and they tell you what you want to hear, or they tell you the truth in spite of the fact that you may not like it and you may have an issue with them after telling you that?
Definitely the truth.
Okay. The reality is that a lot of people specifically communicates their feelings and the negative attributes that they're dealing with to people who they believe are going to give them the response they're looking for.
Right.
Now, when I say that,
Yeah.
is we each know what we're looking for. Okay. If I'm looking for justification in the way I feel about something, I'm going to go talk to you because I feel like you're going to be my bandwagoner because you're my friend and you're going to tell me what I want to hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I tell people quite often, and I do this day in and day out, people know that don't ask me a question you don't want to know the truth to.
Sure. Yeah.
I would rather you be upset with me and me be honest.
Yeah.
Because the reality is that neither one of us are going to grow by not being honest with each other.
Sure. Yeah.
So if I come to you and, you're telling me that shirt is green and I'm telling you, no, Anthony, it's blue.
Yeah.
No, it's green. No, it's blue. You may get upset and go, you know what? This is BS.
Yeah.
Because people are afraid that if they're honest with somebody,
Yeah.
either multiple things are going to happen. If I'm honest with you, you might get upset with me.
Right.
If you're upset with me, then we may stop talking. You may not want to talk to me anymore or do things with me. You may lash out at me and want to attack me. There's all these fearful things that go on both sides.
Sure.
And the reality is that if you value true relationships in your life,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if it's your loved one, spouse, your children, friends, partners, whatever it is, you should value honesty and respect more important than a momentary feeling of being upset because you don't like what somebody has to say.
Sure. And then there's always a time and a way, with class and couth and not in front of people or whatever, right? Like if you're going to communicate something, sometimes communication can also be destructive if done wrong or done too abrasively or not from the right place in the heart. So, and like you were saying, listening, and so, yeah, definitely there's a definitely different aspects to communication for sure. And it's so important.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point, and again, communication is one of the most important key factors, but even more importantly is listening. You may hear what somebody says. It doesn't mean you're listening to it.
Sure. Yep.
If you hear it and it goes out the other ear, it means nothing.
Most people say that when people are supposedly listening, they're actually thinking of what they're going to say next.
That's right. What they're doing is they're so focused on their response that they're not fully processing what you're actually saying.
Sure, yep.
So you brought up something that was very interesting in what you just said, and I think it's important because this happens a lot. Tactfully, let's just say you're in a relationship and you're out in a public place and you see your partner do something inappropriate.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? Now, it's funny because we'll make up a scenario here. Let's say that you are out with your, significant other.
Yeah.
And let's just assume she's a social butterfly.
Okay.
She's more outgoing. You're more reserved. And in the process of that, she has a tendency to talk to people very openly and freely, right?
Okay.
Now, you know this.
Yeah.
Now, remember, she more than likely was like this when you met her.
Yeah.
It's just in the honeymoon phase, a lot of the attention went to you. But let's put that on the back burner for a second and let's continue. So she's around, she's working the room, saying hi to everybody. You notice that she's engaging in a conversation with a particular guy.
Yeah.
Seems that, the engagement is probably going on a bit longer than what you're comfortable with.
Sure, right.
You see little things like, they kind of just, puts a hand on her arm, on her shoulder or whatever.
Yeah.
And ha.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Now, there's multiple factors in this, right?
Yeah.
If you are in a healthy relationship and there is autonomy and trust and honesty,
Yeah.
you probably have absolutely nothing to worry about, right?
Sure, sure.
Now, if a situation arises where anything has tainted the relationship or there's any kind of concerns or issues in the relationship, what is going to happen in that moment? It is potentially going to create jealousy.
Yeah.
Now, people always associate jealousy as a negative thing. Oh, you're just being jealous. There is a way to look at jealousy in both positive and negative. Yeah, I don't, what you're doing is wrong. I mean, I want to control you. I mean, that's what people think when they hear jealousy, is that it's all a control mechanism.
Right.
Okay. Or it could be, I am afraid or fearful that you're giving somebody else the attention that I want from you.
Can I say something too about this?
Sure.
I feel like it's disrespectful as well, because if you're with somebody that you love and respect, even if I'm on like a first date or second date with somebody and I take them somewhere and they're over here talking to some other dude, it just doesn't make you look good. It's just not a good look. It's not, but there's a balance, of course. It's not to be, if she's talking to someone or he's talking to someone, then there should be an understanding of, okay, they got a social life as well.
Sure.
But there's a point.
Right. So there is a balance.
Yeah.
So as we're talking about this, and this is where I'm trying to take this home, is some people do have jealousy of control.
Yeah.
Some people have jealousy of
possessiveness, all that, like
100%.
All goes together. Yeah.
And remember, when you have that is some of those traits are negative.
Yeah.
Let's be real. They are. And what you have to figure out is what is at the root of that.
Yeah.
Okay. There's some therapy and things, communication needed.
Right.
That's creating that.
Yeah.
In a common deal of jealousy, it is you're giving all the attention to all these other people.
Yeah.
And you're not giving it to me. So it's important to have boundaries with your partner.
Yeah.
And, well, you're trying to control me. No. What I'm trying to do is I don't want to change who you are. If you are a social person, I need to understand you're a social person. But the moment we got married or we entered into a relationship, it didn't become you and it didn't become me, it became us.
Yeah.
And with us comes some boundaries.
Which has to be communicated.
Correct. And it comes respect.
Sure. Yep.
Loyalty, honesty. Because at the end of the day, when all else happens, you are supposed to be my best friend.
Right.
In spite the fact that everybody else wants to be your best friend.
Right. Yeah.
When it comes down to who lays next to you in the bed and puts their arm around you and gives you a kiss goodnight at the end of the night.
Yeah.
That is the person that shares my deepest secrets.
Does this need to be taught really even? I mean, this is like common sense.
No, it's not.
I know. I know.
It's the reality of it is that this is a massive issue.
It's so crazy, man.
That people don't realize. You will see people be entirely disrespectful.
Yeah.
Have no cognizance of the fact that people are watching.
Yeah.
And you're doing these things.
And then you're the bad guy.
Always.
Okay. I get it.
You're the one that's wrong. You're the one that's, oh, well, why is she putting up with this? Maybe it is because she is choosing not to react and do things in public about her private relationship.
And like you said, there's something deeper. There's many things, I'm sure, right?
Right. So let's go back to the scenario where your girl is talking to the guy.
Yeah.
So here are some healthy, and again, as you know, as I go through this, I try to establish some of the issues, but also healthy ways to deal with these issues.
Yeah.
Okay. You set boundaries with each other. Now, understand, we're not always going to see eye to eye.
Yeah.
The reality is we have a scenario where you're a certain way and I'm a certain way.
Yeah.
I can't change you.
Right.
You can't change me.
Right.
But the reality is that when you love and respect somebody,
Yeah.
you figure out healthy boundaries together.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
What's acceptable and what's not.
Sure.
And what's acceptable for you needs to be acceptable for me and vice versa.
Right.
We can't have it two different ways.
Exactly.
So that scenario, if that is a scenario where you have a social butterfly, or let's just say I'm that person, and I'm talking to this girl and she's touching me and ha 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 ha. You know, my wife is probably not going to be too fond of that.
Right.
Now, what happens if that whole time I just have my back to my wife? I never even look over at my wife and acknowledge her.
Yeah.
So a healthy boundary, if you are a social butterfly, this is a very important thing that you need to take into consideration.
Yeah.
And I don't care what the setting is. You can be in a social room and events. You can be at the beach. Yeah. You can be at the lake talking to your friends. But if you're engaging in communication or conversations where you're conversing with multiple people and whatever, guy or girl, doesn't matter, a healthy boundary that can be created for the couples are that you guys have a boundary that every so often, and I don't want to tell you what that is. It can be, you know, every few minutes or whatever. You guys just scan the room, find each other, look at each other, make sure that you're both okay.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not okay, and I don't want to be that guy that comes up to you and it's like, hey, come here. I need to talk to you. See, that's what creates that public image of toxicity in the relationships, right? Yeah. So I want you to be able to look to where I can sit there and go,
yeah,
let's talk real quick.
Definitely.
Like we can communicate to where it's healthy for us.
Yeah, definitely.
That is a very important thing that you'll see in toxic relationships because they haven't set healthy boundaries, which can have a huge positive impact on how the relationship is dealt with.
Yeah, definitely.
If you start just establishing that component, you'll start to understand that when you're in public, now it becomes more comfortable.
Yeah.
Now you start to see, because you can communicate with what your partner's boundaries are too, of what they're okay with and what they're not okay with.
Right, right.
This gives you a better understanding of each other so that you can grow healthy together.
Yeah.
Got to remember, you already chose each other.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest part of this is figuring out how to walk the rest of the path together.
Yeah. So true.
So.
All right. Well, we're going to sign off. We're going to come back and continue this because obviously I'm going through some relationship things right now, positively and, you know, painfully at the same time. And this is awesome. So it's Anthony Garibay and Guy Griffith, the Bald Fox, signing off.
Bald Fox.
The Bald Fox. Yeah.